What is one piece of art that you'd be devastated if it was wiped from existence that you could never listen to, watch, digest again? I'm Zach. I'm an independent artist, producer, church guitar player, and I'm here to talk about all things music, making music, listening to music, all that good stuff. So if that's what you're into, welcome. For me, imposter syndrome kind of goes way back. I think there's a lot of reasons for my imposter syndrome, and the best way that I've learned to get over imposter syndrome is thinking about that first question is what is one piece of art I'd be devastated if it was wiped from existence, that I just couldn't ever experience it again. And of course, it's after I've already, experienced it. If you've never heard it or seen it, or then you don't know about it, then it's not a thing. But I think where it comes from is we worry about what are the masses going to think, or what is someone going to think, or what if someone says something negative about whatever it is that I make. I think about all the art that I really love that doesn't get the best critical reception all the time. It doesn't have just comments giving them all the love and appreciation that I feel about them. I thought to myself, man, how devastated would I be if someone commented something negative of a song that means the world to me and they just were able to wipe it from existence. And obviously it's not really possible when you start looking at like records and CDs and stuff, but in the digital age it's definitely possible, but if that's all you release. But it got me thinking about the art that I make, the music that I make, and why I've been just sitting on it for so long and letting it stack up in my hard drive, and starting to question why, and why do I think of myself so seriously that one bad comment's going to just stop me from doing it, when that thing could mean the world to someone. I don't know if it will or it won't, but it could. And I think that thought alone, it's almost selfish to not put it out there. And that's what I think it comes down to, is that it feels like it's somewhat of an act of service, to where if we make stuff, it is our duty to put it out there, because we don't know what the reception is going to be, and who cares what the masses think of it. Who cares if it doesn't get you awards or get you more work or get you, whatever your expectation is. But if it does mean the world to some person, that now they're in that camp, like I'd be devastated if I couldn't ever listen to this one song again or watch that one movie again. It's selfish to not put it out there. And I don't think the answer is not releasing garbage, but we just don't know what garbage is. And when we make something with a pure intention, and we do have that intimate relationship with it in the creative process, I think it is our duty to ultimately release it and try and get it out there to as many people as we can. I think that's the main thing that's made me combat the imposter syndrome, thinking that man, I'm not that big of a deal, to where if someone doesn't like it, someone doesn't like it, then it is what it is. But that doesn't mean everyone's not going to like it. It's not objectively bad. There's nothing that I do artistically that is perfect. I don't have any formal education. I'm not this virtuoso. I haven't been playing the instruments or working behind a camera for all my life, and it's not even what I've wanted to do my entire life. But I have spent a lot of time learning it, trying to understand music theory, understanding different chord voicings, understanding different mixing techniques, and just overall music production techniques, song structures, all of these different things, and listening to so much music that, out of respect, I do the best that I can. And it's something that does speak to me, and whatever I was going through or whatever is happening when I make that, there is this intimate relationship with whatever it is that I'm making. So for me, that is good. And there is someone that is a better guitar player or a music producer could definitely listen to what I make and go, oh yeah, no, like this is trash, like this is no good. But to someone else that might be experiencing something similar or something adjacent to, I think, because there is music that I listen to and like that for whatever reason, the chord progression they used, the choices that they made on the guitar or with their voice and singing, there is just something that speaks to me in whatever it is I'm going through. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And that makes me start to think like, well, I need to put out what I'm doing because I do have a relationship with that. It's not like I'm making this going like, oh man, this is going to be the best song in the world. I'm going to go viral because of this and I'm going to become one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived. Like that isn't even remotely on my radar. And I don't even care a little bit about that. Because the reason that I do music or any art for that matter is because I love to do it. I love to sit at a blank page and just create something. And whether it's a short story, a short film, a painting, or a song, I really just love to create stuff. To me, whatever I put out is the best that it can be. It is ultimately between me, the creator, and whoever the audience is, whether it's one person or 10 people or 10,000 people. I can't even begin to comprehend when it's a lot of people and how many people it can speak to, but just the fact that it could help or it could speak to one person is all the motivation that I personally need, I feel like, to release stuff. It's almost, going back to it, I feel like selfish to not do that. And I think about like all of the songs that I could go on YouTube right now and look at the comments, and there's going to be a lot of positive comments, but there's also going to be a few guys saying like, man, he's just not that good at guitar, or this song's just not very good. If that artist removed that song and just wiped it from existence, I would be completely devastated. And it's songs that have helped me so much throughout my life. I even have people that I'm close to, friends, family, that I'll show them music or a film, and I'm like, man, how good is this? Like, do you not feel exactly what I'm feeling in this? And then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this isn't it. So none of us connect on the same thing. And I don't know what the artist was going through when they created whatever it was that they created, when they wrote what they wrote, when they played what they played, but for some reason, when I digest it, it speaks to me as if like they know exactly what I'm going through. And the best example that I have of this is I love John Frusciante, the guitar player of the Chili Peppers. He is a huge influence, not only for his stuff that he's done with the Chili Peppers, but like his solo stuff that has maybe a quarter of the listenership that the Chili Peppers have. I will show it to people and be like, what do you think of this? Like, how good is this? This is so raw, this is so real, it's so emotional, it's perfect. And they're like, I don't feel it. I don't feel anything from this. This does nothing for me. And I've seen people that I love talk about Frusciante's playing and saying like, yeah, it does nothing for me. I don't get it. I don't see the hype for it. His playing doesn't speak to me. And I've listened to live performances of certain things and the way that he's played certain solos, and it's made me cry. To other people, it doesn't do anything for. So there is no way of really knowing what's going to speak to who. I think with the growth of AI and this chase for perfection, I do think we're going to slip away from the desire of perfection. So much of what makes great art is the imperfections, that it is a human making it, and that it's this deep connection between whatever they're making and God and the person digesting it. It's this for lack of better terms, it's a three-way between the three, and it really is this special bond between all of that. You don't know if you're going to connect on that level when you release it, but when you're making something, you feel like you're connecting to something. You have this antenna, and you feel like you're, and I know Santana's talked a lot about this. He was another guy. I love Santana. I love his earlier stuff, and I just love the way that he plays. And there are other people that's like, he's the most overrated guitar player in the world. I'm like, dude, I'd be so bummed if I didn't get the Santana. And you don't know who you're influencing either. And that's like, it's such a trickle down thing. But the point is, Santana's always talked about, it's this antenna, and it's this antenna with God that you're creating in these ideas. And my brother talks about this too, is like, no ideas are our own. We basically just have these antennas that pull all these ideas from all these different influences, and then something gets created. To me, that is what, again, combats the imposter syndrome, because what you're making, whatever you made, isn't really yours. You're just sharing something. I guess the best way that I could think about it is if, like, I heard something insightful from a podcast, and then I go bring it up in a conversation, and someone says, that was the dumbest thing I ever heard. You wouldn't feel offended because it's not your own line that you came up with. You're like, oh, well, I heard it on a podcast, so I could be, I could be completely off. And I think it's kind of the same thing, but I think having that mindset when we're creating things, that it's like, somewhere in this is like, it's this weird algorithm. And this is why I don't really love AI for creation, because we ourselves as the artists have our influences, we have our life experiences, we have all the music that we love and listen to. We have music that we don't love and listen to even more. And it all creates this weird internal algorithm that ultimately makes whatever you make. So we really don't just come up with anything. It's all pulling from different things. I think having that mindset on top of it kind of helps realize that, okay, I can release this and not get down about it, because if people don't like it, everyone says it's terrible, then it's, I don't know, then maybe you can go back and look at where your antenna is pointed. What are your influences, and what speaks to you the most? And again, like, I feel like the people that do really love it aren't going to go on and talk about it. I've never gone on a Frashante song, YouTube video, or solo. I've never gone on any musician's channel or page and commented anything. And when it's songs that I've cried to, or it's music that I listen to feel happy, to feel sad, whatever the case is, I've never commented anything, and I've never told anyone other than people close around me how much a song means to me. So if no one's saying anything, that it still doesn't mean that it isn't good or it isn't listenable or whatever the case is. So even songs that I hear that I'm like, did they even try, or did they just go into the studio, plug in, and just strum the hell out of chords, out of tune? But to somebody, I'm sure they're like, I like this. I love bebop jazz. I love the fast, chaotic Miles Davis, Coltrane, Ornette Coleman, Wayne Shorter. There's a lot of people that'll listen to that style of jazz, and they're like, dude, this is chaos. This is not music. And I'm like, how could you say that? People say the same thing about rap music, that they listen to it and they're like, man, like, this is not music. This is trash. And I love it. Or metal music. And I like every genre. There's something, and the only thing that I'm constantly talking trash about would be, I'm not a pop country guy, and just even modern pop in general. Some of it's good, but like, I think when you can tell that it's just a cash grab and they're just making music because they know, hey, this is a formula, this is a chord progression that we know that works, people like it, throw auto-tune behind the voice, whatever it is. I think that's the only time I'm ever, for lack of better terms, offended by any art, is that because they're not in that intimate relationship anymore. They're not in that connective part where they're clearly just going for a cash grab. And it's like, you can tell when businesses are doing that, when it's just a cash grab, you're just not interested and it's a turn off. I feel that exact same way with music, to where I'm like, this just isn't connecting. You're just making a song that you want people, you know, they're gonna dance to it because everyone dances to that same chord progression. Or the music where I feel like you're taking advantage of the people that just listen to music for fun. They're not trying to study it, or they just passively put it on in the background and they'll just put on whatever playlist or top charts or radio and let it play as like kind of background music. I think when they're taking advantage of that system, that's where I have a problem. And I'm gonna have to rethink some of this and have a better point to make in a different video that I am a little bit more elaborate in my thought, but something I think about, but I haven't got the words together yet. So anyways, the other thing with imposter syndrome that I feel like has helped me get over it is, sadly, I lost my mom in 2024, and I would share music with her and show her stuff that I'd made over the years, and she always loved it and was so impressed and proud that I even could do any of it. She was always so complimentary about it, and I think I always dismissed it because I'm like, well, you're my mom, of course you're gonna like everything I make, and you're gonna say, not everyone's mom is like that, but my mom was very supportive and loving for anything that I tried and did. You know, she was like, man, this is so good, this is awesome. So I was always kind of thinking, I'm like, it's just not really, I appreciate it, and I think it's good enough to show you, but now that you're saying how good it is, now I don't think it's so good. It's this weird mental thing it's messed up. But she would also always say, like, her biggest advice was, well, just release it, just share it. Like, who cares what people think? If they don't like it, if they like it, you know, just put it out there, see what happens, put it out there. I always thought to myself, I'm like, I will, but it has to be the right time. I get my skills up a little more, let me do this, let me do that. And there's always some kind of limiting belief that held me back from actually just releasing anything. So I think a little bit after her passing, it's like it's, I guess, in some ways a way of honoring her and knowing how much the music that I made and shared with her meant to her and how much she liked it. And it's a way of continuing to make her proud and put it out there, and even creating this channel of putting myself out there and talking about some of these things, because again, I have no idea if this is gonna help someone or not. It's helping me. I think the same thing with the music is, I have no idea what any music that I release is going to mean to anyone, and if it means nothing to anyone, it's better than it just sitting on my hard drive. It's the shoulda, woulda, coulda that I don't want to be in, and I already feel like I've delayed enough of the time. I started making beats in 2021, tried to do a little bit of the selling on BeatStars and doing that whole thing, and didn't get any bites, but I took them off because I was like, I don't think the mixes here, I am with the imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't think the mixes are where they need to be. I gotta get my skills up. And I think the intention behind it was too, is like, I'm gonna make beats that I think are good, and maybe I could make some kind of money on it. And I think where I changed in this latest album, if you will, that I've done, is taking some of those beats, some of my favorites that I did, and then playing guitar over it. Like, the guitar is almost the rapper, and I feel like I'm doing something different. It's obviously been done before, where you have like a hip hop beat or electronic beat and a guitar player playing lead over it. But on this latest release, I feel like I'm doing something different enough, and I already know it's not some people's cup of tea. I show my grandma some of the songs, and she's like, wow, I really like this one. And the other one, she's like, I don't get it. Why is there a voice in the background that's just repeating stuff? I'm like, it's a sample. And I'm like, if you don't listen to hip hop, then you're not gonna get it, you're not gonna like it. And there are people that are gonna be hip hop fans that listen to it that don't like guitar, like lead guitar playing, where there's no rapper over it. Not everyone is going to like it and appreciate it, but I know as I've worked on it, I'm like, man, I like it. And this is something that I would listen to. Back to Frashante, you know, he's got songs that are very chaotic and part electronic with lead guitar, and it's just unique. And not everyone is into instrumentals, and not everyone's into everything. So I have no way of knowing, and I know what I like and what I'm into and what inspires me. So that's like, why not just share it? It's so easy today to share music independently. Why would you not just put it out? I know the same advice is always thrown around in filmmaking, to where it's like, just pick up a camera and shoot. Like, we can do it on our iPhones, we can do it on this, and get your friends together and do it and see what happens. And the same thing has always stopped me in filmmaking. I just had this thought, at some point I need to just jump off the ledge here and release the stuff and just get it going, and then see how people respond to it. And I think I love to create so much that I'm not gonna stop no matter what. I don't care if I have a day job that I have to do to support myself for all this. I mean, I do video production and social media marketing and stuff like that for my day job, and editing. So I have a blast doing that. So I have no problem doing that by day, and then getting to release music or make music and write stories or whatever it is. And I have a short story that I wrote that I really liked. I thought it was my best one. And I think Medium is the site that I put it on. I think it has like one read, or maybe it has more now, but I remember like after a couple months I had one read, and I'm pretty sure it was my brother. So shout out to him for that. It just goes to show that like, it's still something I'm proud of, and just because people haven't clicked in or it hasn't gotten out to people or whatever the case is, it doesn't really mean it's good or bad. I don't really know. There's books that I love that people don't like. There's movies that I love that people don't like, and music, obviously, as I've been talking about. So it's just, I think, getting over ourselves, thinking that like, we're not that important, we're not that. We are, but I mean it in a humble or I mean it from a humble perspective, that like, we are important, but we're not so important that we can't release what it is that we make and we just sit on it, because that's doing a disservice to the whole overall game. And another band I love is Radiohead, and they're very abstract. They're so talented. So for anyone to say that they're not good, but I know a lot of people don't like Radiohead. They're not into them, and they don't get it. And it just, again, like, what if they were sitting there in their studio, or if Tom York is just sitting around going like, well, you know, like, it's a little weird, it's a little abstract, it's not really, I don't know who's gonna really, I'm just having fun making this, so I'm not ever gonna release it. Obviously they've become such a powerhouse name, but if they didn't do anything with it and no one could experience it, like, there are songs that they have that mean the world to me. And again, if they never released it, then I wouldn't know that they didn't release it. But now, having them had released it, I feel like their music, Frashante's music, Miles Davis, Coltrane, all the jazz guys, all the funk players, the classical, just whatever it is, I feel like I'm a better person because I've experienced that art. So I don't know. I think it's a way of making myself feel better about releasing music that I don't know if it's any good. I don't know if anyone's going to listen to it, if it's going to like. I think there's a big vulnerability thing when it comes to making art and doing it, because most of us do make it from a place of pain, I guess, or from a place of maybe not always pain, but it's just such a intimate thing with ourselves that it is so vulnerable, creating and making it and then sharing it, because we feel like we've given so much of ourselves to this one thing. So if someone were to not like it, it would break our hearts. And I think it should, but it shouldn't, because I don't think that it should, but I think it's normal that it does, because it is something that's so close to us. It's personal, it's something we really care about. But where it shouldn't is the one opinion isn't going to really make or break what it actually means to that one person or 10 people or 10,000 people or 10 million. Like, I always think that there's room for more and more people to appreciate what it is that you make and what you do. So I just try and keep that in my mind, I think, when I'm creating. That's the scariest part of it, is putting it out there and thinking, what are people going to think about this? Obviously, everyone wants to be loved and people to be sharing the music and putting it out and putting it on their stories and doing all the things, but we don't have a camera where we can sit in and see where someone lost their mom and now they're needing to use music as a crutch to help them through that grieving process. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, the artists that made the music that was there for me and still is there for me. I'm still going through the grieving, it's not like it just ends. So the artist doesn't get a camera view of me driving around in the car or sitting in the car, emotionally connecting with it and feeling something. And I'm not going online and commenting and saying, oh my gosh, like, this song was there for me when this happened and that happened and that happened. So it's like no one really knows except me, and it's something that's just special and close to me. Again, that goes back to, I think, what I create or what anyone else creates who's deciding whether they should release something or not. If you've done the best of your ability to it and you think that it's the best that it can be, then there's no reason not to put it out there. I think the biggest motivating factor is just knowing that there's so much good that you can be doing with whatever it is that you're making, and it's just not up to us to decide whether that thing that you did is going to speak to someone or not. But I guess it's the same as this, making a YouTuber, making content, putting yourself out there, and whatever you think out there is always uncomfortable and vulnerable. And yeah, it's a way to help promote things that I'm making, or share the music and showing the production process and some of the ideas and the creative process and what works for me and all that. I don't know who needs to hear whatever it is I am saying, and I am saying all this from a real place, from what I'm going through and what lives in my mind. It just, is in some ways, I think, motivated me. It's like, well, if I want to be a modern day musician, I do have to be doing some kind of social media, or I do have to be putting myself out there. I do have to have some form of sharing that to get it to people, because you're not just going to release a song and then it's magically going to find its way out there. And it never was like that. So I think in the modern day, it's because what we're used to, and I think we get kind of annoyed when people are constantly like pumping stuff out and they're constantly trying to be seen. But the same thing was happening before, but there was some kind of barrier to entry. So you had to be a part of a label. The label's gonna get you radio appearances, TV appearances, magazine appearances. You just have all these appearances, and you have all these different places that you're being promoted. Those might be inspiring people. I know, like, reading a magazine excerpt of an interview of your favorite band, you might learn something new, and you might see something that, like, wow, like, that's really cool. Now I'm inspired. But I think the modern day musicians and artists having a more, again, not to use the word again, but like an intimate relationship with who listens to them or even doesn't listen to them, you just don't know who you're actually helping out there. And I think if we have a servant's heart, then we are going to put better stuff out there, and we're going to get over ourselves in that process of not worrying about is what I'm going to say hit home to someone, or is my music gonna hit home to someone, or is my film idea gonna hit home to someone, or my book, or whatever it is that you do, my painting. I think when it is a place of service and all you care about is not being selfish, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's just not being selfish, because I don't have the expectation that someone's going to get anything from this. I don't have the expectation that someone's going to get anything out of anything I create, but I know that they could. And since that possibility is there, don't want to be selfish. So anyways, that's kind of my take on imposter syndrome and overcoming it as a guy who's really battled with it. You do at some point have to rip the band-aid off and just put it out there. And I think music is something I'm even more vulnerable with, because there are those people out there. There are, 6-year-olds shredding on the guitar that are way better than I am. And I think that gets in your head, and then the comparison and all that. So the point is some of the greatest musicians out there are not known for their technical ability. There are plenty that don't know any theory. They obviously have an ear for some of it, but they aren't known for their pristine technique. So if there's any reason for this, it's that I want it to help other artists that are up and coming, that are trying to figure it out, because I'm going along this journey as well. This is a way to be there for everyone else in the same camp that is just trying to put their work out there, unsure if they want to put their work out there. And I think do it, because you could be creating something that's going to make me cry in the car, or make me happy, or make me dance, and you have no idea if it is or isn't. And it could be something that I would be devastated if it didn't exist. So anyways, that's my thoughts on imposter syndrome. And again, if you're into music, creating music, listening to music, all things music, then this is the spot for you. Do all the things, and yeah, let's keep making stuff.